Hey YouTube, it's been a while since I've been away. I'm going to do a video that I've briefly talked about in the past around communities moving forward. I find we're in a situation in the YouTube community at the moment where it's very difficult for us to move forward. There's been more accusations made around YouTubers, both big and small this time, whereas before they were very much around big YouTubers. Now it's a big mixture of YouTubers, and I think it's brought a lot of attention onto the YouTube community and the relationships that content creators build with their fans and with each other and people in general, and the relationships people can build. I'd like to start by saying that abuse is wrong, and feeling abused, feeling victimized, feeling at risk is wrong, and anybody that makes someone feel like that is wrong. One big point I want to make is how proud I am to be a part of a community that does not hide abuse. If you look at the BBC in the last 5 years probably now, with the Jimmy Savile case, for those in the US and other countries, Jimmy Savile was a major children's entertainer, television personality. He was massively famous in the UK. Jimmy Savile has been highlighted as the most prolific child abuser in the UK, and the numbers are growing as to how many allegations are made against him. A lot of those have been proven. That is where it can go, where 40 years, 50 years, 30 years, however long down the line, allegations come out. We're not doing that, and I'm so proud about that people are being confronted now. While they can still respond to claims and own behaviours and have whatever the response is, you know, whatever the outcome is, you know, they pay that. You know, if that's prison, if whatever that is. And I think also for me personally, I'm really big on rehabilitation, and I think there is still the potential for rehabilitation for these people. And I think while they're still young, which majority of them are, that's still present. I don't think rehabilitation should be the first and foremost issue. Safety should. Safety of everybody involved, for the victims primarily. But rehabilitation needs to be involved in that. With the Jimmy Savile case, so many people in the BBC said, oh yeah, we knew about it, but we didn't do anything. Because the people at the top of the BBC were putting it down. They were paying off people. They were threatening other people who were going to out Jimmy Savile with the loss of jobs, and generally it went so much more than that, and there was just a secrecy within the BBC and within government and within a lot of other areas of society where you didn't talk about it. People knew that Jimmy Savile, what he was doing, they didn't talk about it, and I'm so glad we don't have that. These incidences we've had on YouTube where as far as I'm aware, all of the allegations have been made against male YouTubers by both female and male fans and viewers and fellow YouTubers. This shows that there is a big difference in gender and in power. Not just power because of the gender, but power because of the relationship between content creator and viewer, or content creator and fan. That is a massive, powerful position that somebody's put into, and I think that plays a lot into the incidences that have happened. The message, women stand up for yourselves, men don't abuse, is not good enough. The message, abuse is wrong, you should not abuse, is completely valid and in fact an essential one to put out there. But we need to not only say, you shouldn't be doing this, we need to look at why people abuse. And that's difficult, because abuse is difficult. To talk about some of the things that have happened and that could happen is really hard. And we need to take that discussion with a lot of sensitivity and a lot of openness. However, that conversation needs to happen for us to be able to prevent further abuse happening. I think this is important because, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's always as simple as, in the person's mind, going, I am doing something wrong. This is wrong, I should not be doing this. I think it's much more complicated than that. However, that does not excuse the behaviour by any means. Rape is rape. Abuse is wrong. A lot of the YouTube cases of abuse have shown that the victim, and I don't like using that term, that's why I did that, felt unable to say no to the person, to reject their advances. Well, I say reject their advances, verbally reject their advances. A lot of them are saying they made it clear by their body language, by not responding the feelings and not responding the actions. This is really important because it is clearly non-consent. Non-consent does not just have to be verbally no, it can be body language, it can be so many different things. It is non-consent. The instigator at this stage, if someone is not responding how you're wanting them to respond, should stop. But while most people watching this will nod in agreement, how many people actually know what non-verbal non-consent looks like in all its forms? Probably not many. Yes, we should live in a world where this is universally accepted, acknowledged and respected. Unfortunately, we don't. This is not to say we cannot get there, and I think that's what is important. We need to look at where we want to get to, and I think that idea that we are in, that we live in a world where no is universally accepted, acknowledged and respected in all of its forms is really important, and I think we need to be working towards that. There are many ways that I believe we can get there. The first is sexual education and emotional intelligence. Both of these topics need to be revolutionised for children and young people. People shy away from sexual education. But if you think about it, if you think back to sexual education, for me at least, so much of it was about this is what the penis does, this is what the vagina does, this is an STD, this is that. It does not talk as much about relationships, about how you treat someone, about how you should be treated, about how you deserve to be treated, about your rights. All of this needs to be put into sexual education. I think sexual education, even the name, needs to be transformed into relationship education, because that is what we're teaching. Not only are we teaching about how you do what you do when you do what you do, but you're also teaching about how to respect each other, how to have a relationship. How can we expect people to respect each other, to know how to act, if they are not being taught how to act? I think there's some really difficult conversations in there. There are some conversations in there that as a school kid you will giggle and smirk and nudge your mates going, "Hooray!" But we still need to have those conversations. We need to have the conversations about how to tell your partner what you want, how to tell your partner what you don't want, how to tell your partner, and I use partners, that you're not happy with the current situation, how to be open about that, and open to respecting and responding to that as well when your partner tells you those things. That is not a judgment on yourself, but a judgment on, it's not even a judgment, it's just the situation, and that's okay. What's not okay is when we don't respond and respect that. I think it's really important during those conversations, there's going to be a lot of people that will disagree with me on this. I think it's really important that we stay away from heterosexual, power-dominant conversations, because I think those conversations, it emphasises the power difference between men and women. If you are teaching people, men don't abuse, or boys don't abuse, because at this stage you're talking to boys in school and up to, I think even YouTube should be brought into this, because we are dealing with young people on this website. It's really important that that conversation isn't just men don't abuse. You need to say, men, how do you express yourself? How can you step away from this idea that men aren't verbal, that men can just have what they want? How can you express yourself in a way other than just taking? Because taking without consent is wrong. Equally, women should not be automatically put into the position of abused, because they can be an abuser as well. Our message when it comes to abuse needs to be abuse is wrong. We need to then work over that and say, how do we treat each other? I think in order to do this, in order to do this, relationship education needs to be mixed classes. I remember when I was at school and sex ed was boys class while the girls did PE and girls class when the boys did PE. No, because how are you going to learn to respect each other and appreciate each other if you're being taught separately? And people turn and go and say, well, kids are too young and immature, and young people are too young and immature. People will turn around and say children and young people are too immature and they'll just make fun of it. That's what we need to work through. We need to find a way of making sexual education, relationship education interesting, insightful and engaging. We currently don't have that. Well, I say that. There are some fantastic individuals that currently are pushing the way forward in how we look at relationships. Lacey Green is a perfect example on YouTube. She's then developed her own way of style of communicating that, and she's taken that past YouTube. She's going to colleges, she's going to universities and talking to people. And I think that's really difficult, because this is the age, university age, is where the way of behaving is very instilled in people. I've so far talked about young people. I think young people you can still help develop and teach easier than a lot of people that already have their mindsets instilled in them. Lacey has talked about how many men especially laugh and snigger and shout things in the middle of her lectures. That's not right. That is wrong, that is not respectful, and that concerns me. The one big argument people have around sex ed is that, but people are young, and young people shouldn't be taught how to have sex. You need to adapt how you have the conversation with people. You're not going to take a 5-6-year-old into a room and go and say, right, here's a penis, here's a vagina, boom. What you do is you start talking about relationships. You start talking about the kind of relationship you have with a friend compared to a kind of relationship you have with a parent, compared to maybe an auntie and uncle, compared to all these different relationships that somebody can be aware of in their life, and then how that's constructed. What do you do with your friend that you don't do with your parents? What do you do with your parents that you don't do with your friend? How do you know your parents love you? How do you know your friends like you? Developing ideas within the individual about how can I appreciate people, but also how can I respect myself enough to put out what I want out there and have that respected and appreciated. Because I think this is one of the obstacles, that instead of men turning around and going and saying, I like you, I would really like if we went out on a date and see what happens, a lot of men feel forced into a situation where they need to almost take that. We need to go and get someone drunk so they can sleep with me. No, you need to kind of woo. And with wooing, if that person doesn't want you, and I've been very heterosexual because I'm talking about personal experience, this equally goes for men-to-men relationships, women-to-women relationships, and individuals that associate as neither male nor female. Regardless of gender, because for me gender doesn't play into it, because it's about respect for all. Abuse is wrong. Similarly, with emotional intelligence and emotional education, we need to teach people how to communicate. People are scared of communicating. What if I say this and I'm rejected? But that's okay. If the other person doesn't want that, that's okay. You have no right to force your opinion on this person. Our methods of communication go beyond the verbal. So should our understanding. And people can't pick up on signs as much as they should be. So many of the YouTube cases where the abuser, and whether or not you believe them or not, that's not what I'm talking about right here, so many of them turn around and say, oh, I didn't mean to upset this person, I didn't mean to offend that person, I didn't mean to sexually abuse that person, I thought they wanted it. They didn't say no because they were saying no in a lot of these cases. They just weren't saying it verbally, and that's still to be respected, that's still to be acknowledged, and that's still to be, as I said, respected. Abuse is abuse. We need to move forward as a society. There is a very strong focus in our society for what do I want? What do I feel? And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of cases of abuse happen. Because people look at a situation and they go, what do I want out of this? I want you. No, we need to move forward. We need to, alongside thinking about what do I want, because that's valid. What I want is valid. But also what's valid is what do you want? And neither one outweighs the other one. Which is a weird thing to say, because in a way they're both important. But it's about respecting both. And that sounds really weird, and a lot of people go and say, oh, well, da da da. Abuse is wrong. Because the reason abuse is wrong is I want is overpowering what you want. When they're equal. Equal with respect. It is okay for me to say, I want a relationship with you because I think you're really hot and I really like you, you're really cool. It is okay for you, hello, for you to turn around to me and go and say, I like you as a friend. That is okay, because I get a really cool friendship out of that. What is not right is two things. One, what is not right is me turning around going and saying, I really like you, I'm going to take you away to my lair and do whatever, because I'm not respecting the fact that you don't like me. Equally, and I will say this, and people will go and say, it is really horrible, and I think this is one thing that really scares people, when I put myself out there and I say, hi, I really like you, I think you're really cool, I would like to take you on a date, which is a normal way of doing it, because I compare normal to not normal ways of communicating how you feel, catcalling for example, and often catcalling isn't even related to wanting to be with somebody, but nonetheless, if I put it out there going, I think you're really cool, I'd like to take you on a date, and you go, ah! That is not nice. That is not nice to feel. And that's a very manly, but nonetheless, it's about respect. We need to respect each other. And it'd be okay for someone to turn around to you and say, hi, I like you, because that's giving you respect. Bear with me, because I know a lot of people will be annoyed about that. There is a difference between someone turning around to you and saying, hi, I really like you, I'd like to take you on a date, and someone going, you're going to be my girlfriend now, or you're going to come up to me, come out with me tonight because you have no choice, or someone coming up to you and grinding with you in a club, or somebody catcalling you in the middle of the street, or someone presuming anything is not wrong. That is not a good relationship starter. With all that said, one of the things that is really difficult to gauge is how aware someone is about their behaviour. I've talked very much about coming from a point of, oh, everyone's nice, and everyone respects each other, or they should respect each other, and that if we do all this work, there won't be any abuse. That is not true. There are people out there, unfortunately, and this is horrendous, that actively seek out individuals to abuse. This goes beyond somebody not being aware of what they're doing. This goes beyond someone that doesn't know how to communicate their needs. This goes to, I am more important than you. I take gain from controlling you, from abusing you, from raping you. I don't mean to say you, that's really horrible, I'm sorry. From this person turning around and saying that they are more important than you. That, even for me then, that felt really negative. And that is a normal response. If you think like that, if you think I want to rape, see, I can't even say it. If someone's thinking that, that should be sending a chill up their spine. But some people say that and they feel that, and that is wrong. My point I'm trying to make is that if we develop our education, our understanding and our knowledge on relationships, on emotions, on just how to be a nice person to each other, we will cut down on abuse. That will not tackle it overall, because there are people out there that want to abuse. I'm talking about taking it down, both in the YouTube world and also outside of the YouTube world. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how we tackle within the YouTube community those individuals that want to hurt other people, that are actively seeking out people to abuse, they're actively seeking out people to, in some cases, rape. And also I'm going to talk not only about it from a sexual point of view, but also generally, because I think sandpaper is a really good example for this. Tune in on Monday for the second part of that, where I will talk about, as I said, how we respond to those people, in my opinion. I'd really like to know what you guys think about the idea of emotional intelligence, if you feel that would help with some of the issues we face as a community and as a society as a whole, if you feel it would help tackle abuse in any way. And I'd just like to know what you guys think. Please be respectful in the comments, and just spread the love, guys. Look after yourselves. Ta-ra.